Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we getting on? Welcome to a brand new Fallout 76 video. So today we are back on the public test server and we're going to take a look at a couple of the new events that are in the upcoming Skyline Valley update that is due out at the end of June. So, usual warning before we dive into this. Obviously, a couple of spoilers. This is unreleased content. Things might change. And yeah, if you want to avoid seeing anything that is unreleased before it releases, this is your warning. That's what we're looking at today. Won't be any story stuff today, but it will touch on new content. So, let's jump in. Okay, so the first event we're going to take a look at is Dangerous Pastimes. This is a more general public event. It's over here at the substation at the top of Skyline Valley, which is quite cool. Quite a challenging one, and multifaceted one, excuse the wolves. We'll run over here to the substation, and yeah, it's simple enough, this event, but it takes a while, and it's absolutely going to require a group. So, first thing we need to do is head over to the back here, and you see the intercom at the back there. And we're going to hop up here, because I'm going to wait for a few people to arrive. But there we go, we hit the intercom and talk to David Shuttleworth, who is inside. FYI, bare minimum, you will need 30 seconds on the clock in order to start this event. Bethesda might tweak this, but as it currently stands, if you leave it any longer than that before you start the conversation, you're likely to have the timer run out before the event starts, in which case you're knackered. So bear that one in mind. See, we are getting pretty close there. So, first up, we have a bunch of storm chasers, sort of, who are hiding in a bunker. So it doesn't seem like the best way to see a storm to me, but nonetheless, there they are. And we've got a bunch of the Lost, some of the new enemies attacking us here. They're an interesting bunch who doubtless will have some interesting backgrounds to them. These guys they're fairly tough as enemies go. They're not the toughest, but they can put out a fair bit of damage. First thing we have to do is find parts and install them in the lightning harvester. This is to lure in a storm for the people in the bunker to watch. So we're stuck outside while they're nice and safe inside. So the Lost apparently object to this, so we're going to have to defend ourselves as we do. And yeah, they do absolutely pour in. So we have a look at these boxes over here, and you see we've got harvester parts sticking out the top. There are these metal kind of crates with a load of rubbish in them, and then you've got these two things here sticking out the top. There's usually about two in each box, so keep an eye on that. I didn't realise that first time around here, but you can grab more than one. So we need to run around, find a whole bunch of those, and go and install them in the harvester, which is halfway up the platform there on the substation in the middle. It's about smack in the middle of the space, actually. And yeah, we can see the enemies do keep coming, and they do put out a fair bit of damage. There are a whole bunch of these objects that appear to be lightning harvesters around the Skyline Valley area, but I've only seen the event pop up here, so that's a whole thing with that. It can be a little difficult sometimes to see what you're aiming at, I found. I think it's nighttime as well as being, subject to the storms here at this point when I actually did the event, but yeah, the visibility is not as good as it might be. They do use the cover as well, the Lost. They are a bit awkward like that. Some enemies that just come running at you can be a little bit more vicious in some ways, but these guys use the cover and just generally make it a little bit awkward to take them out. Okay, there we go. With all 40 parts into the machine, we move on to the next part. So we get a few seconds of respite to heal up and stuff. And then we move on to the next challenge, which involves charging up the lightning harvester here in the middle. Basically, we'll get a bunch of charged Lost, who are very similar to the Lost in general, but have a charge attached to them. Some of them are legendary like this. I think most of them are. The ones with power armor are particularly useful and the ones you want to target, because these guys progress that progress bar a lot faster. They do put out quite a lot of damage, and they can soak up a fair bit of damage as well. The biggest problem with this, and the thing that really makes it almost essential to have a group, there may be some builds that can potentially solo this, but not very many on the whole, it's just that those guys in the power armor take a while to come in, you need to take out quite a lot of them, and they can put out a lot of punishment, so if you get ganged up on, you can end up obviously getting taken out, having to wait to respawn, and then it just eats into that timer. So yeah, it does take a while. Lot of enemies coming in to farm up here. Yeah, one of the fun things about this is the sheer number of legendary enemies. We'll see whether or not Bethesda change those numbers or not, but if it stays the same, then much like with Eviction Notice, this will probably be a really good way to farm up legendaries if you need to. Particularly for topping up that script. You get a lot of them coming in on this event. Yeah, the visibility is definitely a bit of an issue here. I have not tried this during the daytime yet, but I do think that it might be a bit easier then. But as it is, the enemies, they kind of blend into the shadow a little bit more, and spotting who's who and what's going on can be a little bit of a challenge sometimes. Okay, so here we go, nearly there now. Just get the last couple of charge lost down, and we should be getting towards the end. There we go. That completed. We now get the boss part of this event coming up, which you see says destroy the thunder crab. So we've already kind of seen him in the background as we're running around, but there he is in the back corner there. It's a hermit crab, but way more powerful and legendary, of course. Fortunately, with a large number of people with very large guns, this shouldn't take too long to deal with. There is a lot of damage being put out by, particularly by the Lost, though. So something to keep an eye out. That one with a minigun in particular is a problem, as we can see. Fortunately, though, with the thunder crab down any moment now. There we go. Dangerous pastimes completed. So there we go. The lightning harvester is fully charged, and that's the event done. Not perhaps the most exciting of events ever, I don't think, but it does the job. I think it'd be a good spot to, as I say, farm legendaries. And yeah, should be alright if you've got a group of people showing up to do the event, which you usually will, given how good a legendary farm it is. I think that's going to be the thing that makes a big difference, is whether or not it remains a good legendary farm. Because otherwise it's going to be a bit of a struggle, I think, if there's not enough people here. But yeah, that is Dangerous Pastimes. Okay, so the next one to have a look at is Neurological Warfare, and this one's going to be a bit shorter, as the event in general is, and perhaps not the best footage in the world of it here, but you should be able to get the general gist of it. It's been a bit of a challenge. The main difference about this one is it is a nuke-based event, so as with, say, any of the world bosses, like Scotch Beast Queen, something like that, you have to nuke the location in order to get the event to trigger. Now, the location is the weather station down in the northwest corner of Skyline Valley. You can see it on the map with a little cartoon structure, as well as obviously find the location. The general gist of this is it is a boss fight, so you launch the nuke, hit the area, and head on inside. So we're up here in the weather station, we've got the sort of waiting area here. It shouldn't take too long to head on inside, which is by that door at the back there. It's kind of comparable to a Colossal Problem in some ways, in that there's a little bit of a timer before you can head in. So here we go, into the robot testing area, and we have some prototype robots to deal with. This is quite a cool location, although it does kind of remind me vaguely of something from another game, though I can't think quite what. But yeah, we have a big arena on which we have to basically take out these 3 bosses. Not particularly complicated as an event goes, it's simply take out the 3 Storm Goliath robots. I do like the design of them, they are very, very cool, that's quite fun. Kind of harks a little bit to Liberty Prime, but not too much. There's also little bits of Protectron about the design as well. So yeah, it's simply a case of heading in here and slaying. We are going to have a few slight issues with the footage here. In a minute it will get, there we go, slightly harder to see what's going on because we've got people using chromators, and I really, really wish that either that effect did not show up for other people or that Bethesda had not put this darn thing in the game, because like a couple of things recently, the grenade launchers, the nuclear launcher specifically, and also, of course, the Fat Man, they do not belong in a multiplayer game. It is an absolutely awful addition and is terribly obnoxious for social events like this. So, yeah, not a good addition, but you can get the general gist of how this particular event goes, and we just rain the damage on these Storm Goliath robots. As you can see, we've got 3 of them to deal with. There we go. Last one here with Robot Decima. They do seem to stagger, which is surprising. I wouldn't have expected it to be so easy to stagger such a large enemy. As far as these endgame sort of world boss type events go, the nuked boss events like this one I think is probably the easiest of the bunch. We've got a good long timer on it, nearly half an hour long, 25 minutes, and the bots, they take a while to take down on your own, but I think it might be actually doable. Kind of more so than the other event, really. It does surprise me. Of course, when your Gatling laser breaks, that does make it slightly more hard to contribute to the event. There we go. Let's get a repair on, but while I'm faffing around with this, as we can see, the event is already done. Nice and simple. And once the bosses are down, we get the rewards. Not quite sure what is Neurological Warfare or what's neurological about it, but we've got a bunch of robots to take out as boss fights. So there we go. 2 new events coming in the area. I imagine subsequently we might see others added, but for now that's what should be available on launch at the end of June. Hope you folks found that interesting and informative. I don't personally feel myself getting particularly hyped for these events. If they have really cool rewards attached to them, then maybe they'll be a bit more interesting, but there are good rewards, as far as I'm aware, out there to be collected over the course of this new update, or there will be once it drops at the end of June, but the events themselves are perhaps not the most exciting. But an extra option to farm up plenty of legendaries is going to be fairly welcome, I think, because you know, if you're like me and you're changing your loadout every so often, just for variety, then you do need a decent number of legendaries coming through to keep the script levels up. But there we go. Hope you guys found this useful and informative. If you did, please consider dropping subs and likes. I very, very much appreciate it. Down below, as always, we've got social media links, merch store, and channel memberships as well. If you're interested in supporting the channel that way, I very, very much appreciate. Massively helps out. And if you get a chance to join us for live streams too, we are playing Fallout 76. We look to be playing a little bit of Fallout 4 at the moment as well, which is fun. A little bit of a blast from the past, and I'm enjoying the nostalgia there, so join us for that, as well as a few other bits and pieces on the side as well, so do keep an eye out. But for now, thank you very much for watching. I look forward to speaking to you all very, very soon.